idea.
Hey, so that's a new intro. Very nice. I'm Kevin. I run a site called Svelte School, and I'm involved in the Svelte Society organization.
I'm Sean. I work at Temporal as head of developer experience, and I guess I just work on general Svelte things, but also I'm part of the Svelte organization.
Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm the co-founder of a booking tourism platform called Beyonc, and I am also a Svelte maintainer.
Ooh, nice. So this episode is the first one where we have this new intro, and it's very awkward for us to start this off properly because we're used to doing it in a specific way. But today,
yeah, it's weird. I forgot my intro.
Yeah. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the upcoming Svelte Summit, of course, and the talks and what you can expect on Svelte Summit. So I guess we can kick it off with some of the talks that we're going to see there.
Maybe we should, before we talk about the talks, I also wanted to shout out, I guess, the organizers who basically are just, volunteers who stepped up to help select and organize and invite talks. And also the fact that, a lot of good talks were submitted that we ultimately could not pick. Maybe we should talk a little bit about the new format this year?
Yeah, so last year we pre-recorded everything, including the actual event itself, and that was easy in some ways, but it's also a bit boring. You can't really interact with the viewers as the event goes on. So this year we're going to do it a bit differently. So we have the talks themselves are pre-recorded, but the actual event isn't. So we're going to have hosts that are going to talk between the talks, and yeah, we're gonna have some fun stuff planned as well, like a quiz. Ooh, exciting! And
this has been a few years. It's been a few weekends of organization that have gone into this. So hopefully we've got some good stuff. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
The other thing I guess I wanted to emphasize is we're trying to make it shorter and more lively in a sense, because the last time was something like 8 hours of just straight videos, and
8 hours of a lot of fun. Yeah.
So I think we aimed for something on the order of 5 hours, and something like 5-ish full talks and 10-ish lightning talks. I don't actually know the final number. And so that's like 15 talks, and we basically solicited submissions for both categories, and we had a lot of submissions for all of them. I think like something like 65, 66, something like that of submissions. So yeah, I mean, like we had a really weird position of turning away some really good talks, and also it was done mostly blind. We did a pass to double check, but we just judged everything based on title and description. So we definitely got some interesting quality people, and hopefully this process, I think it can be improved, but that's what we're trying to do better every single time that we do something like a Svelte Summit.
I was just going to say it'd be interesting actually to talk about a little bit about how talks are picked. The way Sessionize does it is very interesting. I didn't know that's how it worked. If you ever use Git bisect, it's a lot like that. You kind of get presented 3 talks, and you pick sort of which you'd really be interested in, which you would be less interested in, and which sort of in the middle, and you rank them, and you constantly do that over and over and over again until it sort of orders if you were the only person in the audience watching this conference, it would be your order of talks and your kind of picks and what you'd want to listen to. And every organizer does the same thing, and so it should provide a fairly good spread of different useful information. It should be like less duplicated sessions, that sort of thing. So I really quite like that, actually.
And I think we have like the number of organizers and the varying degrees of backgrounds we have. We're not all developers per se, or like super into specific things. So
we're quite different.
Yeah, and we all have different interests. So it's nice. It gives us a bit of a good spread of different topics. And before we actually picked the talks as well, we sat down and made a list of topics that we would find interesting. And yeah, I think it worked well. And so we had you had this idea, Sean, of doing the talks that we weren't able to fit into the actual event that we offered them to do talks on the YouTube channel, and we've had a couple of offers for that as well. We're going to pick up more of those after the event, because
definitely
right now it's a bit hectic.
But it's always weird, because ultimately our goal is to try to grow community and not be some kind of gatekeeper. At the same time, we have to organize an event that hopefully isn't too long. So the trade-off is YouTube. Like, we have infinite space on YouTube. We want to encourage as much as possible just cross promotion of Svelte content. So if you're interested in posting on the Svelte Society YouTube, just reach out to me or Kev or Anthony, and let's figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to let you know that I am actually nodding and concurring along here, but someone's decided to fly a helicopter outside my house, so I'm trying to keep myself on mute.
Gotta love helicopters. All right,
pretty noisy.
Let's get started with the talks. I think this generation Svelte, it's like a textbook that will make the first language for Norwegian high schoolers a thing. So I guess they're talking about programming languages, right? Not languages in general. I think that's pretty cool idea. It's going to be interesting to see like how they're going to do this and why, as well as like, yeah, it's hard to know what the actual talk is going to be about, but sounds interesting. I
mean, they had me at the Norwegian high schoolers bit, teaching programming using Svelte and writing it into, I guess I'm always interested in, I guess, unconventional, there's like international stories. There's an educational angle to this thing. To me, I was very drawn to this. I think this was one of our very easy winners early on in the process.
Definitely. It's just the idea of using Svelte to teach programming it appeals to me. I think it's super easy to get started with, so I guess that's why they chose it as well.
Yeah, I've always sort of maintained that Svelte is the closest to just writing JavaScript that I know of, at least, and I think that's sort of testament to it being a great language to learn in, because you're not gonna learn some sort of obtuse API that you then have to work your way back from to figure out what that API was doing under the hood. Really, all you're getting free from Svelte is a bit of wiring, and that there's not. It doesn't actually do that much for you. It just takes away a lot of the labor involved in sort of writing front end and in UIs and UX.
Cool. What's next?
Yeah. Up next, we have optimizing your Svelte community experience. It's a talk by one of the guys on the Svelte Discord. He's usually there. He's called Rainlife. And it's pretty much about like how to ask for help, what not to do and what to do, stuff like that in the community, how you optimize your getting answers to your questions pretty much.
Yeah.
And at the same time not being loud and irritating to people that are there answering questions. Yeah, definely.
It's like a meta talk.
It is.
I guess we should specify that these two so far are lightning talks. So we really want to survey the wider range of concepts and ideas that people want to introduce. So a good talk to have for a community conference.
Yeah. I think this talk is much needed. Well, needed, maybe not needed, but it's nice because it's like the Svelte is growing crazily fast these last few months, and there are a lot of new people coming in. And so I think it's going to be nice to have this to point people to if they want to figure out how to get help more easily.
Awesome. Should I go next? I guess this one is Svelte without the JavaScript. I think this is sorry, I skipped one. Compile for accessibility with Svelte, right? Is that the one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going in like the default export sequence. I don't know if you have the same export that I do.
It's the same.
Okay, so this one is by Anthony Lecour. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. It's Frenchy. So he's one of the co-organizers of Svelte Society France, and so it's very very cool to see him come give a talk and actually see his face. And we had a number of accessibility submissions actually. So I think this was our primary pick. I'm not sure we have any others, but a lot of Svelte people are very interested in doing accessibility right. I think we do need more work to do apart from just the linting experience. I know that Jeff Rich is someone I talked to who is interested in submitting a talk separately. He didn't get his talk submitted this time, but we'll see him on YouTube, and he's got some accessibility with Svelte experience implementing Svelte at Alaska Air where he works. So just a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I think this talk says he's about figuring out the benefits and the limitations of Svelte's accessibility checks. So good coverage.
Yeah, that's nice. And then we have Svelte without the JavaScript. That's weird. What does that mean? Well, I guess we'll see. It's a talk by Fred Scott, I think it's pronounced.
I say shot, I guess. I don't know. We can ask him.
I think I say shot too.
Yeah. I guess we'll see at the talk what he says. Well,
right. So he's the founder of Skypack and Snowpack.
Yeah, Snowpack. Yeah, so this is going to be fun. And it's we don't really know much about it, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
I have a feeling based on what I've seen him talking about. I believe it's something like, you use Svelte to just basically render page like SSR, but then you don't do the hydration step, or you do only as much hydration as you actually need. I think it's something along those lines, but I could be completely wrong. But I know there's a notion of doing that.
Yeah, there's a part about partial hydration in there.
So I can clarify a little bit. So first of all, if anyone is listening to this, by the time you hear this, we should have published the full schedule of talks. So you should be able to see the descriptions and titles so you can follow along with us. And we're not necessarily talking in chronological order because we haven't figured it out yet. And then second of all, I think what Fred is talking about, actually, he's hinted at on his Twitter channel. So it's basically his new build system called Astro that is paired together with Svelte, and has a little bit of similarity with Elder.js as well. So really partial hydration, you only hydrate the interactive parts of your site, and the rest is just HTML. And he's also exploring client-side rendering, full static site generation, the whole spectrum. So it could be interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting.
It's gonna be fun. All right, and then we have. This is another interesting one, like interactive data science widgets with Svelte and Jupyter. That's a new combination of things I didn't expect to see.
Yeah, that's very popular, isn't it?
Yeah. This is by Alex Cabrera. He's a PhD student at Carnegie Mellon University, I think.
Yeah, another lightning talk. Yeah. And something we wanted to focus on for this one, I think, was that the data science community just loves Svelte. Because I think we just don't get in the way of D3. That's the main job of Svelte compared to React. And we don't need like 5 different talks on how to integrate Svelte with your framework with D3. It just works. And then the other really cool angle, of course, is that notebooks are a big trend in data science.
And Jupyter is pretty big, right?
Yeah. When I learned Python, that was the default programming environment. I didn't use an IDE. I just used notebooks.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So a bit like a REPL then, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. The idea is literate programming. So you run the code in cells, and then you see the output of the code next to the code. And you can obviously also comment the code. So it's like this full document that you can read from start to finish. It's got a narrative. It's got the graphs and the table output that you're running, and you can run the document and execute code.
Okay.
So it's pretty advanced, and it hasn't really reached JavaScript land. But Mike Bostock, who created D3, has created Observable HQ, which is essentially Jupyter for JavaScript. Even though Jupyter itself runs JavaScript, it doesn't do it the Mike Bostock way. So he made a startup to do his own thing. And he's got some pretty cool people working on it, like Anjana Vakil. So definitely check out Observable as well.
Cool.
I'm really excited about this next one. It's called Svelte Can Compile and So Can You. And that title doesn't really tell you much, but it's about doing internationalization at the compile time rather than doing it later. And it's so this guy, I think he's from, let's see here, he's from a Spanish speaking country. I don't remember which one, but yeah, so I think he's going to talk about basically how they're translating using the compile some kind of compiler or some preprocessor, maybe. We'll see.
And you say translating as in like it's basically internationalization, is that correct? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting because that's quite a hot topic, I think, in Svelte land.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
cool.
I would like to have a default Svelte documentation tool that builds in internationalization from the start, so we don't have to worry about it. It's a weak point of the Svelte docs, and it'd be nice to have better tools.
Maybe this is the way forward. Maybe this is it.
Maybe. There is I don't know if you guys have seen the Svelte API that's been worked on.
No.
API.svelte.dev. No, so it's like a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like an API for handling gists, I think, and did the docs as well. I think it's built on Cloudflare Workers, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Oh, Cloudflare.
It would be, right?
Of course.
This is
I mean, I think...
Now that Luke is a DevRel there, it's bound to happen.
Yeah,
right?
this is from what I understand, it's something along the lines of because when we currently build the docs, we just kind of pull in Markdown from various places and turn that into pages and then publish those pages. And I think it's all a bit hard to work with and kind of a mess of Git modules. Which I mean, I don't know if you ever use Git modules, but they're just terrible. They just don't work. I really don't like Git submodules. So this API.svelte.dev will fix all of that sort of stuff.
Nice. Maybe you can also bring in the who's using Svelte into that API as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can turn off the community repo. I think that would be very cool. We still get some weird like PRs for stuff there.
It's not weird. I mean, if you want to promote their organization and show their logos, I think we should. It's easy. It's just a few fields. Yeah. I just don't like it when some people mark themselves as. I think we have a field for like notable organizations, like famous companies like Apple and stuff like that, and then they send in their own company and then they market themselves as notable.
Yeah.
I have to go like, let's take this.
I don't know about that. Well, I mean, it's not. It's obvious why they would do that, though.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's notable. Really, it's not so much about notable. It's just that obviously, people who are coming fresh, they want to see the big names that use it to give them confidence that it's something that's maintained and active and kind of around. So it's not. I guess about notoriety as much.
I think you can kind of draw a parallel to the there was a time in when people used tags for emails and you could add like important or super important and everyone just defaults to like super important because everyone's email is super important.
This is a real salesperson tactic. They'll just type RE in front of their title so to pretend that you already have talked to them before.
That infuriates me. That really makes me not want to use your product when you email with RE in the subject because I have not been involved in this conversation.
I don't think it's that popular because it backfires so much.
Well, but it does happen. I do see them, and I think that's just really irritating, and I just delete the email. It's another one of those things. It's you ask a stakeholder of a product what's the highest priority thing, and it's it's all high priority. Well, it's all high priority, then nothing's high priority, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Z-index problem or the syndrome from The Incredibles problem.
What? What's that?
Z-index is terrible.
Syndrome for Incredibles? If everyone's special, then nobody is?
Oh,
no? Okay. This is a meme, guys. This is a meme.
I
have not seen that meme. I have to be.
Yeah, I need to shape up on my my meme game.
All right.
But the Z-index problem. That's terrible. That's just a terrible problem. Drive me nuts. What's the next one?
The next one is swoosh, shabam, exploding head emoji, whimsy in motion.
You sound like a screen reader right now.
Yeah, that was the point. Yeah, so this is by you guys probably remember the floating head guy.
Floating head guy.
Yeah, so this is by the same guy.
It's Ron Au.
Yeah.
So obviously he's one of the most interesting sort of quirky characters, I guess, from our speaker history, and very very glad to see him back.
Yeah,
it's all I know is it's about whimsy. That's all.
Yeah, I was going to say that title, especially since I didn't really know whimsy was a thing, it gives you nothing at all about the talk, but actually I think that's probably the intention.
It definitely is.
So I can give a bit of history.
Sure.
Josh Como has been giving talks on Whimsy for the past like 2-3 years, which is a little bit like of silliness, but done in a tasteful way. And to me, that's what appeals to me about this talk, which is I think Josh and Ron both share this idea that you can use animation and use these advanced features in a tasteful way to bring joy to the user, but not annoy them with like, oh, look at how awesome my animation skills are, right? Like, I think a lot of times when people show off animations, they seem very inaccessible. Like, especially that's how it seems to me. Like, I look at someone like Sarah Drasner's work, and I'm like, I will never be on that level, right? No, the way that she animates like a map marker to, using SVG, is really cool. I'll never do it. So something that's a little bit more reachable, and I think Josh is I mean, and she does a lot of courses, and I should probably put more effort into it. But Josh and Ron, I think the word whimsy to me means like a lighter touch approach to animation.
Yeah. So he says in the notes here that it's to be decided whether he's going to show a neck and a torso. So maybe the return of a floating head that. Well, I guess we'll see.
I think he can pay more to see more of him, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So next up, we have the declarative data visualization, creating a bar chart race. So this is by Amelia Wattenberger and Russell Goldenberg. So it's a data visualization talk. Again, it's a great fit for Svelte.
I mean, the stuff that they do is just incredible. So, I mean, this is going to be a visual spectacle, I imagine.
Yeah. Love the visual talks. Great.
Yeah, and to be clear, for those who don't know, they both worked together at Pudding.cool, and Pudding is very well known for their data storytelling. I'm not sure if there's a specific piece they're going to talk about here. I think they're just going to talk about some interesting techniques. Amelia has published Svelte.recipes, I think, which is her repo of recipes that she uses all the time, and it's beautifully explained, just like everything that she does. And I think now she works at GitHub as a staff engineer, some kind of high level position. So we have someone in GitHub advocating for Svelte, and that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I think GitHub have been traditionally very, very much build their own stuff from scratch every time as well. So it'll be interesting to know how that works out.
Build from scratch with Svelte?
Well, exactly. Yeah, maybe. Well, because they sort of started off building their UI using a series of queues to render various bits and bobs and do it all manually, and that that's kind of a common practice now, and sort of they call it like, I don't know, island front ends and stuff like that. But they were doing it all themselves before that sort of was even a thing. So it's interesting to see them.
Yeah, I guess it has to start somewhere. These
exactly. Someone's got to invent it, and then becomes a thing. So yeah.
Okay, anyone want to pick the next one?
Okay, I'll go. So is this? I love this title, Design Engineering, but it's the N with the Enya for Spanish speakers. And in the subtitle is Writing a Design System in Spanish for a Team in the Mexican Cultural Public Sector. So this one's pretty similar to the Norwegian. Is it a Norwegian talk?
Yep.
But in Spanish and in Mexico and for the public sector. So again, I really like to hear about these kinds of use cases, and they put a lot of effort into the description. I was just like, okay, wow, this is a lot. Yep, I like this talk.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see.
And it's another kind of internationalization thing, which is definitely a good thing. It's definitely a different language based thing, which is something I like to see how people are addressing this.
And also a Svelte design system. Like they said it's not 100% release ready, but they're talking publicly about it. Probably it's pretty close. And I think people are very interested in building design systems. I think Svelte's a really good basis to build it with. And I think it's our first design systems talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Next up, reactive forms with Svelte. So I guess this is right up my alley. I did on the first. Let's see here. So I did my first talk at the Svelte Society Day on a Svelte forum library thing, which sadly hasn't been touched in forever. So there's that. But this guy seems to have he's released something called Formula, and it's about forms in Svelte. It's a form library for Svelte.
So yeah, I mean, forms are obviously not the most glamorous thing in the world to talk about. So should be interesting to see a talk that does that well. But it's such a common use case to want to have reactive forms. It's something that we do, especially every single day, and it's quite painful. You have to spend a lot of time refining it, and validation, cross field validation, all that kind of stuff is very complex. So should be an interesting, it's an interesting talk, and it should be something that's useful to a lot of people. So I think there's a lot of value in that talk.
Yeah, so this is a talk by Tane Piper. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it, but
I think so.
So that's going to be nice.
Cool. Next one.
Cool. So the next one, I'm going to read this one out because I haven't read one yet, I've noticed. So this is Svelte Node GUI and how to build a custom Svelte renderer. So this is a guy called Jamie Birch who was on our podcast, I don't know how many weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, that episode hasn't actually gone out yet.
Okay, well, so...
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It's
we gotta put it out.
Yeah.
He was so good.
Past
I
one.
was very excited about it. Yeah.
It's going to go out.
Looks like his talk at Svelte Summit might come out before the podcast. So that'll be interesting. But cool. Yeah. So basically, yeah, he's one of those guys who's just incredibly smart, but also he aligns with a lot of my kind of views on things about open source software and Linux and all that kind of stuff. And so this should be interesting because it's taking Svelte into something more native rather than a purely web-based solution, which is an interesting new avenue. Well, not a new avenue, but with Node GUI, it's quite an interesting avenue because he sort of translates it all to Qt. So, yeah, not the usual Electron app. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be nice.
I will also mention that since we had the podcast, Jamie also launched Svelte Node GUI publicly because it wasn't public when we interviewed him. So he launched it on Hacker News, and it was one of the most upvoted Svelte projects,
right.
I think, since Svelte. So for some reason, people are very interested in I guess, Electron alternatives and just faster, smaller UIs, which is something that Jamie is clearly very passionate about, and I think all of us are passionate about here. So you can check out the Hacker News launch as well if you're interested in Svelte Node GUI.
Right. So this talk that we're going to talk about next is testing Svelte with Jest, validating your components quickly. And this is one of those talks that I think it's nice to have. There are too many resources about testing in Svelte in general there, so it's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had some criticisms, I think, from Svelte critics, I guess. Not the best choice of words. Basically saying that because we don't have that much documentation on Svelte testing, we are not a serious framework, and that's partially a reflection of just the reality that Rich doesn't do much testing for his work. Automated testing. But also, I think there are just a number of approaches, and we haven't really landed on something. So featuring something in Svelte Summit, I think, was very important to us.
Yeah, I think also, there's a huge notion within the Svelte maintainers to not be too opinionated about something. People should be able to test using whatever they want. Everything should work with it, and it should work that way. So if you start publishing like, Jest is our preferred solution, or testing libraries are our preferred solution, you're leading people automatically into thinking that's kind of like a blessed answer to testing. And we don't really want to have that. We want to keep it sort of open-ended because not everyone likes Jest, not everyone likes testing library, etc., etc. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's kind of a fine line between not encouraging people down a certain path and also, providing the resources people need if they want to, to test stuff basically.
Yeah, I'm not really much a fan of Jest, honestly. I prefer Uvu.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it with Luke. It's his library. It's very nice. All right.
And it's a lot more lightweight than Jest and a lot less opinionated. Jest was built basically around React and now it's been sort of ported to other things. So it's not
so like it doesn't have mocking built in like Jest, for example, right? So you have to bring your own
It has a mocking library with it. I just don't know how well that is for the front end right now, because I think it was a community driven effort to add a mocking library to Uvu.
I see. I've just been using this one called I think it's called Snoop.
Okay.
It's funny because it has Snoop Dogg with the like the circling hand meme thing on the GitHub page. It's easy to remember. It's funny. Okay. Untangling composition and higher order components. This could be fun. Or sorry, this will be fun. Not could be fun. Yeah. So this is a talk about how you compose different things, components, and other.
Yeah, I feel like this was the only composition talk that we got, and to me, it's hard to do well. So I want to see. I really want to see this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the talk yet, but to me, the appeal of this talk is that it shows off some, I guess, lesser discussed APIs, including slots and Svelte component, which is a API that I have never used, but I think it's a way to dynamically select the component. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm actually currently building I'm implementing do you know the Spectrum design system from Adobe?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm currently implementing like the tree view component there. And so I have to like compose all these, like the actual tree component with the menu or the items in there, and then have it like, and then I want to add like drag and drop to it. And it's getting very complicated very quickly because of, I want it to be like a very nice, easy API for the consumers, right? But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this talk. Maybe this will help me figure this stuff out. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Oh, I can pick the next one. So the next one is called Building the Next Generation of Low Code with Svelte. Ooh, a deep dive into Buddy Base.
Yeah.
What is Buddy Base?
Yeah, I don't know. No. So I work there, so I know what it is. It's a low code.
Are you officially full time now?
Yes.
Ooh.
Well,
so yeah, you're a contractor, and then I think they're maybe you should give some context.
Yeah, so I started working with Buddybase I think it must have been like a year ago, a bit more. Yeah, just over a year, as a part-time contractor, and then I went full-time, I'd say like a month ago. So it's been a lot of fun. So we're building this low-code tool with it's a lot of Svelte, so that's nice.
This is cool.
Kind of why I wanted to start working with them.
So what can we expect from this talk then?
Well, so I think you can expect like how we use Svelte in the actual. So let's see. So we have a couple of different components. So we have a server component, a backend component, and we have front end component. And obviously the backend isn't built in Svelte, but the builder itself and all the applications that it generate are Svelte applications. So we'll see kind of how that's made to work. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. For those familiar with the low code space, Buddybase is basically an open source retool in the sense that it directly connects to data sources that you have, and it lets you use a drag and drop approach to spin up a site or like an interactive app for internal usage. Basically, I think the reason for me, it took me a long while to figure out like what's this focus on internal usage. It's basically that you don't really care about the look and feel as much as if it's just for internal tools, like for salespeople, for marketers, whatever. And you're just building an access, like a view layer or like a simple CRUD layer into your backend. The tricky part is to do this without expending internal engineering time, which I've actually done at a previous company. So this is a massive space. Retool is a unicorn company already, and I always think that it's cool to see people build local tools, because that means that your coding actually enables other people to create apps who don't necessarily code at all.
Yeah. So we started out, I think, focusing more on the no code side of things, but by doing that, we also get a lot of people that have like literally zero experience building stuff. So at the moment, we're focusing on low code, which is more geared towards developers, but have them be able to build stuff really quickly, because you'll still have to you'll have to model your data and stuff like that, and you're not going to have like people who have no experience doing that be able to do that quickly and easily. But yeah, so yeah, it's a nice project. One of our catchphrases is simple by default. So this goes back to like you don't really want to have to care about the looks too much, but if you want to, you can customize it a bit. All right,
sweet. Is that it?
That's it. But then
that's the rundown.
Yeah, that's the rundown of the talks. But then we also have some other things that are going to happen at the event. So we have a quiz planned where participants are going to be able to answer questions. I haven't seen the questions, but it's going to be interesting. I'm going to participate in the quiz. So I encourage you guys to join, and it's going to be fun. And we're also going to try this new Discord feature. I don't know what it's called, speaker platform. But
yeah,
what is it called?
I don't know. It's like called stage rooms or something, or stage channels. I don't know.
It's Discord's Clubhouse clone.
Yeah,
yeah, it's exactly what it is. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And then there's going to be a small after party. I guess we'll use Discord stage, whatever it was called, a Clubhouse version for that as well. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's it. And
we have some sponsors as well. So really appreciate that. I think we basically sold out of our spots.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of sponsors. I think Buddy Base is sponsoring.
Yeah.
We have. I don't actually don't have a full list, but I'm just scrolling. We're announcing them on the Svelte Society Twitter. So Filevine is the most recent one that we announced. It's the operating core for legal companies. Cool. I guess they use Svelte and they're hiring.
Yeah.
There are people hiring for Svelte.
Sounded like you said illegal companies then.
Then we have Gitpod, right? So that's So they provide like a workspace thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a remote workspace. Is that a good description? I guess we can actually just read their description. Spin up fresh automated dev environments for each task in the cloud in seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they just migrated from Sapper to SvelteKit, and they even open sourced it. I think that's
awesome.
nice.
Very cool.
All right. Anything else we want to? The event starts at 2 p.m. London time, and we're going to have a more detailed.
So that is what 1 p.m. in UTC, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. we're going to add some more detailed stuff.
Singapore time. Okay, for
date
people in Asia,
date mass is so complicated.
9 p.m. Singapore. That's not too bad.
9 p.m. Singapore.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Okay. Cool. All right.
And you can catch it on the YouTube channel. Be sure to join the Discord and participate.
Get involved.
Yeah. It's an opportunity. We get big jumps in people hearing about Svelte when people make noise about it. It's an opportunity to create a bunch of content so people can share it within the office and just realize that Svelte is a growing thing and people are getting a lot of joy out of it. So if you want to help out, just spread the word. It's a free event.
Yeah, exactly. It's free. One thing to mention is that there are rumors that there's also going to be a talk by Rich.
Ooh.
Oh.
Rumors like we talked about this yesterday or 2 days ago. And Rich was like, "Yeah, I'll probably just learn something."
Yeah, it's not really the traditional meaning of a rumor, is it?
No.
No, it's just like he'll probably like do a last minute sprint, but we can't insist on him doing something. But he's going to do something.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the unpopular opinion section.
Oh yeah,
Anthony, you going?
I don't have. I mean, that would be ridiculous. Of course, I've got unpopular opinions. I think all of my opinions are probably unpopular, but I don't have one kind of nicely polished and ready for discussion. So I'm going to actually abstain at this time and pretend that I agree with everything everyone does, which is just not at all true.
Okay. Kev?
No, I only have popular ones.
Okay, I'll tackle a quick one. Then we'll try to keep this short. So this one is again not exactly mine, but I just thought it very interesting to share, and I do share some of the sympathies. So this is called. So the context of this is that someone on Hacker News was very frustrated with their serverless developer experience, and they said, "Ask Hacker News, does anyone else find the AWS Lambda developer experience frustrating? I've been using AWS Lambda a bit recently, and I can unit test bits of code just fine, but at some point I always end up stuck in a slow feedback loop where I deploy the code, manually invoke it, go through the logs in CloudWatch, and then add a print statement and so on. So it seems like a very slow deploy process." And this guy who responded had just a fire take, which was basically, you've discovered what many other people have. The cloud is the new timeshare mainframe.
Oh, I read this comment.
This work loop is incredibly inefficient and was replaced by development that happened entirely locally on a workstation. This dramatically tightened the edit, compile, debug loop down to seconds or at most minutes. Productivity skyrocketed, and most enterprises shifted the majority of workload away from mainframes. And now that we're moving a lot of development to the cloud, a lot of it just by definition cannot be replicated on our local machines because we're just relying on particularly closed source cloud resources. So the assertion here is that we lost something in the transition to cloud, and I think that partially that's the story of serverless as well. And it's just a fact that even people from AWS were commenting like, yeah, you're right, that we can't replicate everything. There are solutions like AWS SAM, Serverless Stack, Netlify Dev, Begin Sandbox, but they're all emulations of a real environment and not the real thing.
That's not a controversial opinion from my standpoint. That's a very uncontroversial opinion. It's, in fact, I just big strong agree there, I think.
I think basically people are trying to sell you a lot of developers, and I definitely was on this train for a while, that moving to the cloud is a clear win in terms of developer experience, just because you manage less things. It's more of a managed experience for you, but they manage so much that you now don't have anything on your local machine. And sometimes I have videos of myself waiting for deployments for like 15 minutes to see a change, and then realizing that something wasn't right, and then I had to go fix it again, and that's way too long. So we have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Orda from Microsoft and also from the TypeScript team has mentioned that Azure is working on this, and apparently has a really good local dev story. So people who are interested in fixing this should probably check out what Azure is doing.
Yeah, I wonder how you solve this, like for like an industry-wide, like how do you get an industry-wide solution for this, right? Because all of these platforms are proprietary and they all differ, right?
Yeah. So serverless containers is a thing that is spreading, which is kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but that's what AWS Fargate is doing. So as long as you can contain everything inside a container, sorry, that's a poor choice of words, but the container is sort of the most well-tested unit of like reproducibility, essentially. And a lot of it actually comes from like, okay, not enough memory. Like you have a lot of memory on your machine, but then when you deploy, you're deploying to like a limited instance, and you run out of memory in production. Like, oh, okay, who knew, right? It's because your testing environment is different from your production environment. Same thing for like pre-installed binaries, or like this one's harder to overcome, but like now it's very relevant. Your processor version, like whether it's Mac, it's Intel or ARM.
Oh, right.
So Docker is not going to overcome that, but essentially, if you can run a container, that's a nice unit of delivery as well. So I think that's the solution that people are talking about. But I don't. Ultimately, there is a discrepancy. You can't avoid it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where we'll end up. It kind of feels like a pendulum that just swings back and forth. Like goes from like everything on the server to everything on the client, everything on the server.
Yeah.
Well, so there's another blog post that was circulating within my office today, which was like sort of serverless infrastructure 2.0. Again, another Hacker News post, but I thought it was a really good read on like what truly serverless means. Because the whole problem with this waiting to deploy thing, like cloud would work if we did not have to wait for it to deploy, if it was just available. That's what cloud should be. And we're getting there very, very slowly. So it's only 10 years old. Imagine another 20, 30 years on this thing. We'll probably figure it out.
Yep. Cool. All right. Picks then. Do you guys have one? I can go first. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm happy,
all right.
Yeah, happy to go first. Or you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go. So I have the Neuralink Mind Pong Monkey. Have you seen this? No.
Go ahead.
Neuralink is another Elon Musk venture, where he basically wants to do Cyberpunk 2077 in but a nicer version, I guess. So they're making like, I don't know exactly how it works, obviously, but they're doing like interfaces to the brain. They implant these, and then they connect it to some device. And so this video showcases like a monkey that's playing Pong just with his mind, which is amazing. So he's moving one of the platforms just up and down to like, yeah, just playing Pong. I didn't even know a monkey could play Pong. But
yeah,
with just his mind, that's even more cool.
That's a bit of a game changer, isn't it? I mean, Elon Musk, right? He's the king of the game changers, but that is a game changer, I think. For people with disabilities, it's amazing.
If you listen to the skeptics, which they always are, yes. they said that again. He's doing his overpromise and underdeliver thing, and what he's done so far isn't materially better than what existing research has done. And just because it's Elon, people are paying more focus to it. But we've inserted electrodes into the brain before.
Yes,
but still, he has a big vision.
I think he has a very, very, like, he's very good at bringing stuff to market.
Yeah,
like taking it from the research stage or like doing the actual engineering. I think that's his.
He's very good at bringing it into the present mind of people, right? That's the most important thing.
Literally,
like he didn't invent the electric car. We had electric cars in 1950, right? I can't remember who did it. I think it was what's that big GM? I think it was GM had an electric car, and it was hugely impractical, but it worked, and it drove around the city, and people were like wowed by it because it was all electric. But we then just stalled on that for like 60, 70 years, and then suddenly like Elon makes Tesla, and ta-da, like everyone's suddenly making electric cars, everyone's copying, everyone's cloning it. If that's his only skill and his achievement, then that's a great skill and achievement, right? Is to bring it into the forefront of people's consciousness. Yeah. And I think that's a really valuable thing.
I think I read somewhere that actually like the actual first car prototypes were electric. Way back in like the late 1800s.
Really?
Yeah. I might be misremembering. Yeah, I have no idea.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Shall I go?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So my pick, and it's kind of relating to the cryptocurrency theme we discussed before. As you might know, I'm quite into cryptocurrency. I've been for a while. So people's biggest complaint with cryptocurrencies is volatility, making it no good as a currency, etc., etc. However, you can actually use that volatility to make some money with a thing called arbitrage, which happened in the stock markets for years, basically buying low and selling high over and over. And one of my now favorite cryptocurrency platforms called KuCoin has created bots. So one click to set up arbitrage bots. So you can basically take any token pair you want, say dollars. I'm doing dollars and Telcoin right now. Telcoin being another one of my favorite cryptocurrency projects. And it basically will give you three questions, like how many pots do you want, how many grids it calls them, how much money do you want to put in, and what's the lowest and highest you want to trade at. And it will then basically divide your tokens up by those grids. And as the price fluctuates, as it enters one of those grids, it either buys or sells accordingly. So as it's fluctuating, you're building up this pot of dollars on the side. Depends on what you're trading, depends on what you're making. But I put some a Telcoin bot in last weekend, and within an hour I'd gained $300. Right, it's actually a pretty good way to make money if your tokens are volatile enough. It's they've got copy trades as well, so you can copy other people's bots. But a lot of people are just relying on the token mooning anyway. But if you've got a token that's just sort of sitting there up and down, up and down, up and down, you can just make passive income from that. You can run a bunch of bots, very low trading fees, and ta-da. So it's a great way to actually make use of probably one of cryptocurrency's current shortcomings. So,
yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like arbitrage opportunities all over.
Absolutely.
What's the catch?
What's the catch?
Yeah,
the catch is it depends on, like, it's up to you how you do this. So if you were to put, say you've been doing it with Doge, right? Say you'd put it in Doge, and Doge has now gone through the roof, ridiculous token, but it's gone through the roof. Your bot will sell all your tokens as it moons, right? So you'll end up at the top of your range with no holding in Doge. So if it carries on mooning, you won't be in that token. You won't get any profits from that. So you have to keep your eyes, on have your usual kind of alerts. Likewise, if your token goes to the floor, great, you'll probably make some money on the way down as it goes to the floor. But as it hits the bottom of your range, you'll end up holding loads of this token, and it just keeps plummeting. So you need to be conscious. But apart from that, shortfalls, there really aren't very many. It's just like
sounds risky.
Well, see that I don't know. It's basically I've been doing it for a while now, and it's pretty good fun. But it's just taking opportunity of something that you can do. People have been doing for years, right? Buy low, sell high, and but it's automating it with the current technological inventions. Bots and APIs
right.
and real time trading. It's pretty cool. So yeah.
Seems too risky for me.
I'm also not putting any. I'll be in my I'll put on my finance hat here and say that arbitrage technically has a risk-free element to it. So you need to be able to make profits risk-free, and you're taking risk here. And the risk is specifically that your mean reversion trade, you're betting on things going back to normal in some sense of the word. Your mean reversion trade, that's what you make money from. And every time there's a regime change, like what Doge did this week, or something cratering to the floor, then that is not mean reversion, and you lose money on that. So you're picking up pennies in front of a steamroller essentially there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the in a lot of ways, I think that's high Sharpe ratio. You're selling an option, so you're selling volatility by you're gaining from small volatility, but you're selling the wings from high volatility events.
Is this because I don't have a financial background? Tell me something here. Is this the same risk that you take if you were just, say, purchasing a token and holding it?
Oh, no, absolutely not. It's a different type of risk.
Right.
You're synthetically... sorry, I don't know how much to get into here, but you're selling the wings and buying the local volatility. And that's one way to benefit from it, but it's absolutely not arbitrage. It's just a different form of risk taking.
Yeah, so arbitrage, is that more like you'd buy
You've locked in
two different exchanges, for example?
You have to lock it in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it arbitrage, but it didn't strike me as arbitrage because when I've done arbitrage before, it's across two exchanges. I don't know what
that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah,
this is different. This is different from what I expected.
Yeah, this is they call it a volatility killer bot basically, but it's for some reason they call it arbitrage as well. I'm not sure why they call it that, but
a favorite quote of mine from Nassim Taleb, I think, is that volatility cannot be created or destroyed. You're just shifting it around. So what you're doing is the more people deploy this bot, the more bots will be pushing things towards the center, which is great, until things don't work, and then everyone removes their bots, so liquidity suddenly disappears. That maximizes the volatility at the wings. So that's the origin behind the phrase that volatility cannot be created or destroyed.
Interesting,
scary. And on that note,
I have one quick one. Just this is not a new pick for me, but I keep picking it once a year, it seems, and everyone's just very surprised by it. It's called Empty States. Have I picked this before? I don't actually remember, but
not on Svelte Radio, I think.
Okay, it's Empty States. It's the URL is mtstat.es. Just try to spell out
one of those new cool domains.
Yeah,
and it's a reminder it's some inspiration on what you can do with empty states, because the developers always leave their empty states empty, right? When your app starts up, you probably have a list somewhere and it's empty, right? And you just show nothing, or you show like some there's nothing here, but you could actually show a nice picture, a nice here's what you should do. You link them to a guide. And this is often what your users see the first time they land on your app. So you should probably try to make it inviting. So Webflow recently had an example where they had an empty state in their dashboard. When you first create a Webflow account, it's empty and there's no projects. And they actually have a face here looking at the new project button and say, that new project button must be important. It's like it's a hint to where you should go to next. And I like this idea a lot. So I want to make sure people know about it.
This looks really nice.
Yeah,
the empty state site.
This is almost something that SSR can help with as well, right? Because your empty state, when a user first visits, is a thing that's been rendered by the server. And if
then you have a flash of empty state.
Well, that's what I meant. I don't think you do, because you've done data fetching on the server.
Okay, yeah. And then, if that's the case, then yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So that's this week's episode, and we'll see you all on Svelte Summit.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
This is fun. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.